In the original RE4, there were lots of mysteries that have spanned across nearly 20 years since the game's original release, those that leave us scratching our heads and looking for answers to this day. These include the anonymous letter, the sack thing, the monk that stole the crown, the dog's disappearance, and many more. I have made more extensive videos going over most of these in recent months, although for the purpose of this video I'd like to bring forth some viewer requested mysteries that I found interesting, or mysteries that were either not comprehensive enough for a full-length video, or those that have already been covered in great length by other YouTubers. Here are 5 unsolved RE4 mysteries. The Oven Man has got to be the most notorious mystery that I've yet to cover, a mystery that shrouds itself behind one of the scariest jump scares in the series. This takes place at the beginning of the hospital section in 5-1, a disgusting place, bloody, dim, and insect-infested environment. The music is terrifying. The sharp drone perfectly sets the mood for the upcoming scare. There's exposed meat hanging from the ceiling and a variety of canned foods lining the shelves and tables. Evidently, this is the storage room where they keep the food used to feed the islanders, or at least those stationed within the hospital. Managing all those regenerators has got to be hard work. There's a downstairs lobby area located near the operating theatre. This food was most likely distributed from the storage room. All this means was that the oven itself was used to cook the meat before distribution. Some of the larger pieces cannot fit inside a normal oven, hence its implementation. The Oven Man probably tried forcing the meat inside of this oven here, breaking it in the process, so they called up Sadler and paid him 100,000 pesetas for an oven that could get the job done. The cockroaches and flies around the oven implies that food was cooked here ever since, so it was never intended as some sort of torture device. So how did this islander trap himself? Maybe he was simply in charge of cooking the food and accidentally fell inside out of negligence. Similar things happen in real life, and it would explain his maniacal attitude when finally breaking free. Although he does die when left alone, he couldn't have been in here for very long. In fact, he's not even rendered inside of the oven at all. It's very possible that he suffered an accident minutes before he arrived. Maybe a trip, or maybe the doors closed behind him. But I have another theory. The stun rod guy. A little suspicious already, to be honest. He's actually one of the only normal enemies in the game with a lot of blood on him. This makes sense though. He's obviously the butcher, the one who cuts the meat, while the Oven Man is the chef. They're probably friends, at least co-workers, so why is he not trying to save him? He's just standing there apprehensively. He 100% has something to do with this. Firstly, judging by the ash inside of the oven, I doubt it's the first time this has happened. Any potential accidents would be met with caution and protocol in a dangerous work environment such as this, especially if it's reoccurring. Secondly, we can't rule out the possibility of this meat being human when considering this theory. Why didn't the butcher just kill him if he wanted him dead? Why did it have to be the oven? I understand if the butcher would go to any means necessary to feed himself. Maybe he was coerced by Sadler into normalizing cannibalism among the island population. The island may be the base of operations, housing the most advanced weapons in RE4, but all of the food is back at the farm, and it would take a lot of time and effort to transport pigs and cows via speedboat. So this was the only other option, unfortunately. God knows what happened to this person after we continue onwards, because it's also one of the only bodies in the game that doesn't disappear. Not until we come back later. Our next mystery brings us to the castle gates, where we are greeted with another ambush. Similarly to our first encounter at the start of the game, a truck storms down the hill in a desperate attempt to kill us, before we head for the drawbridge and leave the village behind forever. The mystery stems from this truck's location more than anything. It's the only vehicle around for miles. Its placement makes little to no sense. Unlike the first truck, which connects to the main road leading out of the village, this one is in the middle of nowhere, so how on earth did they manage to do this? Both trucks that we encounter were most likely used to transport wood to and from the village, as evident by this pile of logs in both instances. I love vaulting over these things. These trucks were responsible for the development of the small cabins that we can encounter throughout the opening chapters, including the Pitchfork cabin that we'll get to very soon. Because these aren't present in the end credits, the villagers in particular favouring carriages instead, I believe these trucks were implemented after Los Illuminatos' establishment. With Sadler's intuition came weapons, research facilities, and more convenient modes of transportation. The bigger question is, where's the petrol station around here? As mentioned, the truck at the castle has absolutely no roads connected to it. From what I can tell, the path that is now the Bella Sisters arena used to be the main road, yet they've seemed to build over this. My theory for the mystery man driving the truck is simple. When the truck crashes, we can actually collect some gold from it, meaning this truck was also used to transport gold from the village to the castle at one point. Maybe it was a money laundering truck, or maybe the driver was some sort of drug lord. Here's my evidence for this. He's definitely on something. In fact, when we look at this sequence again, it does come across as very weird. He mows down all of his friends without batting an eye. What is this lunatic trying to achieve? I don't even think he was trying to kill us. I genuinely believe that he's completely lost touch with reality, and that our encounter with him was a mere coincidence. As for the truck itself, I think that it was used a while ago, and they've since abandoned it and manufactured over the old roads, so they couldn't really drive it back to the village centre anymore. The last delivery of wood was thrown at the side of the road, and the local madman commandeered the truck for himself. I think that's a pretty solid theory in all honesty. After witnessing the accident at the bridge and rescuing that dog for the 500th time, we come into contact with the first of the small wooden cabins. Here, we can save our game, learn how to break boxes, and relax for a little while. These things are almost like small save rooms in a way. Halfway down the river, we encounter our second cabin, only to witness a woman with her face embedded in the wall by a pitchfork. A very disturbing scene, and if it weren't for the dog, this would be enough to quit the game entirely. The consensus nowadays seems to be that the woman was killed by the Hilltop Gang, the mysterious group of villagers or potential outsiders who persistently stalk us from the cliffs and throw the boulders at us multiple times in chapter 1. I disagree with this for a few reasons, however. Firstly, the woman was killed extremely recently. She is dripping with blood and there's no insects. Whoever did this did it minutes before we arrived. The thermal scope specifically targets Las Pelagas, so her cold body doesn't contradict a recent death. How did these guys have the time to make their way up here from when we got here? There's a few close ganados nearby, but there's one in particular that is the main suspect in my opinion. The first ganado that we encounter. The living room has a seating area for 2 people. From what we can see, this man lives alone. One of the rooms upstairs has been sealed off. This could be her room, and this was his way of removing any memory of her. If she really did live here, then evidence of an orchestrated killing would have been apparent. We would have found her body in the nearest cabin, thrown under the lake, or in a similar state to those underneath the staircase. I still don't think that he has anything to do with this. All evidence points towards this being a struggle or an aggravated murder. This guy is way too collected to have killed one of his own kind, let alone his presumed wife, just minutes before we arrived. I strongly believe that this woman was killed amidst an escape attempt, or was found guilty of refusing the parasite. We know that she's not infected. Already this gives us a strong enough reason for such a horrible punishment. Maybe one of these random villagers decided to take matters into their own hands. That seems to be the case. But we can't really pinpoint who it was. We have clues such as the broken handle and the bones on the table, but there's nothing conclusive. I have went more in depth in another mystery video, but she was most likely against Ashley's kidnapping also. The buried letter mystery is the most recent in this list that has received some coverage. This thing can be found under the farm area in the first chapter, directly below the blue medallion poster, leaving many people confused as to its contents and location. Just to keep this one very short, the letter is essentially the blue medallion letter. It's merely a placeholder to allow the pickup prompt, of which both objects disappear afterwards. As many of the game's letters share the same glowing animation, the blue medallion poster is unique in this sense. It's not actually an obtainable object at all. It's rendered into the tree as an artwork. What we actually pick up has always been the mystery letter. With that being said, the letter itself is implicative of a discontinued asset before it was inevitably repurposed into the default texture that it became. This is the same asset used for every letter we find in RE4. Sometimes it's just out of sight to allow this creative freedom in certain instances. It states, epidemic of influenza. It's quite interesting. This could have been the concept of RE4's original script before Capcom settled with Las Plagas, leaving this idea neglected but forever a memorable subject of mystery. The village is a place far from civilization or normality. They live in incredibly primitive conditions. They have little to no technology. Their toilets consist of canisters and storage containers. There's not even a single toilet or clean room in the entire village until we make our way to Mendez's house. It's here where Leon acknowledges the change in etiquette. A well-furnished dining room, what passes for a normal bathroom, with no bath or shower but one disgusting urinal, but at least it's something. A beautiful bedroom though, I must say. I'm very jealous of this place. But why is this the only house with functional appliances? Well, the easy answer is that because it is owned by the Big Cheese, it was most likely a gift from Sadler. He was granted his own house, looking over the village, with a hidden path in his back garden, and all of these luxuries included. The urinal seems to be set up to a drainage system. I hate to say this, but the nearest thing resembling a sewer is the well directly under Mendez's house. We were basically swimming in this water searching for fish a few seconds ago, if only we knew sooner. The dining table features multiple chairs and sets of cutlery. This must be a very popular hangout spot for those closest to Mendez. Judging by the guy we find in the bathroom, the few villagers who are somewhat hygienic must also come down here often. Mendez is actually a very considerate person, choosing to share his luxuries among his fellow villagers instead of closing himself off. I don't think there was any sort of ostracism involved in the village. Mendez knows that the villagers are less fortunate than the Zealots or Islanders. Maybe not the Islanders actually, but there's just not enough money to go around to afford toilets and stoves in every household. Mendez was gifted these things, yet tries his hardest to involve his community and friends alike. Just like Salazar, he isn't a bad person at heart, especially not without Las Plagas. He could have easily killed Leon on multiple occasions, yet decided not to, only resorting to the measures he did after Leon gunned down everybody in his circle. He did want us dead at the start, although he came around not long afterwards.
You carry the same blood as us, it seems. Nevertheless, you're an outsider. Just remember, if you become unpleasant to our eyes, you'll face severe consequences.
These are just a few mysteries that I've thrown together for a compilation video. I'd love to make another one of these, volume 2 if you will. Also, please let me know if you'd like to see any of these mysteries be made into a full-length video at some point. I love tackling more obscure subjects occasionally, the things that no one really pays attention to. And the viewer requested theories are some of my favourites. Please feel free to send me something if you have anything you'd like to share or a video idea in general. My email is on my about page, so thank you.